araw na naman sa ating lahat, and this is the continuation of our discussion about quadratic equations. But this time, we will solve quadratic equations by factoring. Some quadratic equations can be solved easily by factoring. And to solve such quadratic equations, the following procedure can be followed. First step is transform the quadratic equation into standard form if necessary. So yung standard form natin is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Next step is factor the quadratic expression. Number 3 is apply the zero product property by setting each factor of the quadratic expression equal to 0. Number 4 is solve each resulting equation. Number 5 is check the values of the variable obtained by substituting each in the original equation. So yung number 5 is optional lang naman siya. Ginagawa nyo lang dito is to check if your answers are correct. Let's define zero product property. So if the product of two real numbers is 0, then either of the two is equal to 0 or both numbers are equal to 0. So mamaya is malalaman natin kung paano gagawin yung ating zero product property. So i-summarize natin kung ano yung steps na meron tayo in solving quadratic equations by factoring. First is standard form. Second, factor. Third is zero product property. Number 4 is solve, and then number 5 is to check. Let's have our first example. Find the solutions of y squared plus 8y is equal to 0 by factoring. So, kung makikita natin sa ating equation is our quadratic term is y squared and the linear term is 8y. And wala tayong value ng ating constant term. Basta yung equation natin is meron siyang quadratic term, ang tawag dyan is quadratic equation na siya. So, we will follow the steps para ma-solve natin yung ating given equation, which is y squared plus 8y is equal to 0. So, standard form, nasa standard form na siya. Quadratic term, linear term, wala tayong constant term, so standard form na siya. Next step is factor. So, titignan natin sa ating given na equation, which is y squared plus 8y is equal to 0 kung ano yung common sa dalawa. So, ang kanilang pagkakahalintulad is pareho silang may variable y. So, ilalabas natin si y. So, y, so i-divide natin si y kay y squared, kaya naging y. Si y is, i-divide natin kay 8y, kaya naging 8 na lang. So, kung magdi-distribute tayo dito, y times y is y squared, y times 8 is 8y. Same lang tayo. Finactor lang natin yung ating given na equation. Next step is the zero product property. So, simple lang to. We will equal yung ating finactor into 0. So, yung unang-una is si y. Y is equal to 0. Next is si y plus 8. Y plus 8 is equal to 0. So, ganoon lang kasimple yung zero product property. Next step is isolve na natin yung ating mga nakuhang factors. So, first is y is equal to 0. So, okay na yun. Tapos na tayo. So, yung una nating answer is y is equal to 0. Next, y plus 8 is equal to 0. So, transpose natin si 8. Tatranspose natin sa kabila, so it will become negative. So, yung ating pangalawang answer is y is equal to negative 8. Next step is check na natin kung tama ba yung ating nakuhang roots para dito sa ating equation na to. So, yung gagamitin natin is y is equal to 0 and y is equal to 8. I-substitute natin yung mga yon sa ating given na equation. So, we will substitute the value of y. So, yung gagamitin natin dito is yung unang-unang answer, which is 0. So, gagamitin natin yung ating pinaka-original na equation. Y squared plus 8y is equal to 0. So, substitute natin si 0 sa mga y na meron tayo. So, 0 na si y, kaya 0 na yung nilagay ko rito. Plus 8 times 0, kasi nga si y is 0 is equal to 0. So, 0 plus 8 times 0 is 0. So, ang makukuha natin dito kapag in-equate natin is 0 is equal to 0. So, dapat yung ating final answer is pareho sila kasi nga equal daw sila. So, kung lumabas dyan is 1 is equal to 0, ibig sabihin, mali yung ating answer. Pero kapag ang lumabas is pareho, 0 is equal to 0 dito, is tama tayo. Pwedeng 100 is equal to 100. Tama pa rin tayo. Next is using the negative 8 or y is equal to negative 8. Same process lang tayo, substitute. So, si y magiging negative 8 yung y dito is magiging negative 8 din. So negative 8 squared is 64 or positive 64. Plus 8 times negative 8. So positive 8 times negative is negative. So it will become negative 64 is equal to 0. Next, we will multiply yung negative sa positive. Yung sign lang yan ha. So ang mangyayari is magiging negative siya kasi different sign. So 64 minus 64 is equal to 0. 64 minus 64 is also equal to 0. So yung answer natin is 0 is equal to 0. It means yung ating answer is correct sila. So therefore, the equation y squared plus 8y is equal to 0 has two solutions or roots, and these are y is equal to 0 or y is equal to negative 8. Next example, find the solutions of 81 minus 4s squared is equal to 0 by factoring. Same process, unang-una is the standard form. So, kung makikita natin is hindi siya naka-standard form kasi dapat ang unang-una yung quadratic term, tapos linear term, tapos constant term. So, dito sa ating given na to is we don't have the linear term, but at least we have the quadratic term. So, quadratic equation pa rin siya. So, i-arrange lang natin mo una si negative 4s squared plus 81 is equal to 0. And para hindi kayo nalilito is lagi natin gagawin is maging positive yung ating quadratic term. So, we'll divide both sides by negative. So, yung negative 4s squared is magiging positive, yung positive 81 is magiging negative 81. So, ito na yung magiging equation natin kasi nasa standard form na siya. Next step is same process, we will factor. So, ito na yung ating given na equation. So, kung mapapansin natin is yung ating quadratic term is a perfect square. Tama? Yung 4, perfect square yan. And also, yung ating constant term, which is 81, is also a perfect square. So, kapag ganito yung ating nakitang given equation and negative yung ating sign sa gitna, ang tawag dyan is difference of two squares. Kasi, yung dalawang yan are perfect squares. So, ang gagawin natin is ganito. Ang square root ng 4 is 2. So, 2s, 2s. Ang square root ng 81 is 9. So, ang ilalagay natin, 9 and 9. Ito lang yung ating tatandaan. Kapag difference of two squares is, kapag finactor natin yan, dapat ganito yung sign na lalabas natin. Ang pagpa-factor sa ating constant term is, kung makikita natin, negative 81. So, ibig sabihin, ang factor niyan is positive and negative, or negative and positive, or different sign. Kasi kapag pinag-multiply mo yung different sign, ang lalabas is negative. So, ang gagawin natin is yung isa positive, yung isa negative. So, mangyayari, ito yung ating lalabas na factor. Inuulit ko, kapag ganito yung ating given equation is, pwede natin gawin yung ganitong process. Next step is the zero product property. Same process tayo, we will equal yung nakuha natin into 0. So, 2s plus 9 is equal to 0. Sa kabila is 2s minus 9 is equal to 0. Next step is we will solve. First is yung positive 9 muna. So, 2s plus 9 is equal to 0. Transpose natin si 9 sa kabila and then it will become negative. So, 2s is equal to negative 9. So, si s may kasama pa siyang 2. To cancel it, we will divide both sides by 2. So, 2s over 2 is equal to negative 9 over 2. So, makakancel na si 2. S is equal to negative 9 over 2. Bakit naging negative? Si 9 negative siya. Si 2 positive. So, kapag nag-divide tayo, different sign, negative. So, ang lalabas, ang negative sign is sa buong fraction na siya. Bakit hindi tayo nag-lowest term? Wala nang lowest term yung 9 over 2. So, usually, we don't use mixed fraction. Improper fraction yung ginagamit natin. Depende na lang kung ang hinahanap ba is in fraction form or in decimal form. So, much better dun tayo sa fraction form. The answer is s is equal to negative 9 over 2. Gagamitin naman natin yung 2s minus 9 is equal to 0. Same process, yung negative, transpose natin, magiging positive. So, 2s over 2 is equal to 9 over 2. So, the value of the other s is 9 over 2. So, this time, positive siya. Next step is checking. So, we'll check kung tama ba yung nakuha nating roots para dun sa ating given equation. Yung equation na gagamitin natin is yung original na equation. So, ang gagawin natin is 4s is equal to negative 9 over 2. So, So yung ating given equation is 81 minus 4s squared is equal to 0. So we will substitute yung s na nakuha natin, which is negative 9. So yung s naging negative 9 over 2. So 81 minus 4 times negative 9 over 2 squared is equal to 0. So first is yung exponent muna natin. 81 minus 4 times yung square ng 9 is 81 and yung 2 is 4. So ang nangyari is 81 over 4 is equal to 0. Next is 81 is equal to 81. Bakit naging ganon? 4 times 81 divided by 4 is 81 siya. Ito yung madaling paraan. Kung makikita natin is we can cancel 4 at saka yung 4 na yun. So ika-cancel mo yan, ang matitira is si 81. So 81 minus 81 is equal to 0. So kung i-subtract natin itong dalawa na to is 0 is equal to 0. Which means yung answer natin sa S na negative 9 over 2 is tama siya. Same process tayo. 9 over 2 naman yung gagamitin natin, yung positive. So same process. So ang mangyayari is positive naman yan, magiging 81 over 4. So ang lalabas is 81 minus 4 times 81 over 4 is equal to 0. Same process, 81 minus 81 is 0. So the answer is 0 is equal to 0. Which means yung answer natin, yung dalawang answer natin are correct. Therefore, the equation 81 minus 4s squared is equal to 0 has two solutions or roots. So, eto sila. S is equal to negative 9 over 2 or S is equal to 9 over 2. Example number 3. Find the solutions of p squared minus 10p plus 25 is equal to 0 by factoring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same step tayo, standard form. So kung makikita natin is naka-standard form na yung ating equation. Next step is we will factor. So kung mapapansin natin, yung ating given na equation is a perfect square trinomial. Paano ba natin malalaman yung isang equation is isa siyang perfect square trinomial? So titignan natin yung ating first term. Yung first term natin is, ang kanyang numerical coefficient is 1. At alam naman natin na ang 1 is a perfect square. Last term is 25, or yung constant term. So 25 is also a perfect square. Next, yung sa ating middle term, which is 10. Paano natin malalaman kung perfect square trinomial ba? At bakit 10 yung nasa gitna? So ganito yan. So yung ating first term is 1. Kung i-square root natin, is 25 is 5. Tama ba tayo? So kung i-multiply natin yung 5 and 1 is, ang makukuha natin is 5. And then, yung nakuha natin product is i-multiply natin siya by 2. Kapag nakuha natin yung gitna natin, na yung minultiply natin ng 5 and 2 is perfect square trinomial siya. So tingnan natin. 1 times yung square root ng ating 25, which is 5, is 5. And then 5 times 2 is 10, which means sinasatisfy niya yung ating sinasabi, which is perfect square trinomial yung ating given. And lastly, yung sign. Titignan natin yung sign na meron tayo. Dapat ang ating quadratic term is positive. Ang ating linear term is pwedeng positive, pwedeng negative. And ang ating last term is dapat positive lang siya. Tandaan natin. First term or quadratic term and the constant term are always positive. And ang ating middle term, pwedeng positive or negative. So, yung ating given equation is a perfect square trinomial. So, ang mangyayari is we will find the square root of our first term, which is p squared is p. Square root of our constant term, which is 25, is 5. And then, kung ano yung sign na meron tayo sa constant term, yun yung ilalagay natin na sign, which is negative. So, ang nangyari is the quantity of p minus 5 squared is equal to 0. So, kung hahatiin natin yan is ganito siya. So, the same sila. P minus 5 times P minus 5 is equal to 0. So, ito yung gagamitin natin na factor. Next step is the zero product property. So, pwede natin gamitin yung isa na lang dito kasi pareho naman yung dalawa na yan. Which is P minus 5 is equal to 0. Next step is to solve yung ating nakuhang factor. So, P minus 5 is equal to 0. Transpose natin si negative 5, magiging positive. So, the value of P is equal to 5. Next step natin is checking. So, we'll check yung nakuha nating roots dun sa ating original equation, which is p squared minus 10p plus 25 is equal to 0. We will substitute yung nakuha natin, which is 5, dun sa ating original equation. So, mangyari p squared minus 10p plus 25 is equal to 0. So, si p magiging 5. Ganun din dito. So, 5 squared minus 10 times 5 plus 25 is equal to 0. 5 squared is 25. And then, negative 10 times 5 is negative 50. Bring down 25. So, next is 25 minus 50 plus 25 is equal to 0. 25 minus negative 50 is negative 25. Bring down 25. Negative 25 plus 25 is 0. So, yung magiging final answer natin dito is 0 is equal to 0. Which means yung nakuha natin, which is p is equal to 5, is correct. Therefore, the equation p squared minus 10p plus 25 is equal to 0 has one solution or root, which is p is equal to 5. Number 4 is find the solutions of x squared plus 6x is equal to 16 by factoring. Same step. First is we will find the standard form of the given equation. So kung wala siya sa standard form, gagawin natin is ita-transform natin siya into standard form. So we will transpose 16, it will become negative. Quadratic term, linear term, constant term is equal to 0. So positive siya kanina, magiging negative. Tignan natin kung yung ating given equation is a perfect square trinomial. Ang ating first term is perfect square, which is 1, and then yung ating constant term is a perfect square, but it is negative, which means hindi niya sinasatisfy yung kailangan ng isang perfect square trinomial. Next step is we will factor. And kung makikita natin, ang ating quadratic term, ang kanyang numerical coefficient is 1 lang. So kapag 1 ang numerical coefficient ng ating quadratic term, ang tinitignan lang nating factors is, or factor is yung ating constant term. Kailangan yung factor ng ating constant term is makukuha niya kapag in-add or sinubtract natin yung ating middle term. So, paano nga ba yan? Umuulit ko, kung ating constant term lang ang ating titignan para masatisfy niya yung ating linear term kasi 1 lang naman yung ating quadratic term. So, we will find the all possible factors of negative 16. So, negative 16. Kapag negative, ang factors niyan are different sign, tama? Positive negative or negative positive. So, unang-una, 1, negative 16. Pag multiply mo yan, negative 16 para makukuha. Negative 1 and 16. 4 and negative 4, 2 and negative 8, and negative 2 and positive 8. So sa limang ito, sa tingin nyo, ano yung makakasatisfy dun sa ating middle term? Na kapag in-add natin, yung isa man sa mga factors na meron tayo sa negative 16 is makukuha natin si positive 6x. Kung ito yung gagamitin natin, ang makukuha natin dito is negative 15. So hindi makukuha yung ating positive 6x. So ang pwede natin gamitin dyan is negative 2 and positive 8. Kasi kapag in-add natin yan, isa makukuha natin is positive 6. So ito yung gagamitin natin ng factor. First is ang factors ng ating x squared, which is x and x. Next is yung nakuha natin, which is negative 2 and positive 8. Para i-check kung tama yung nakuha nating factors is you can use the FOIL method to check. Pero dahil nasatisfy na niya or nakuha na natin yung mga kailangan is tama yung factor na ating nakuha. Next step is the zero product property. Same process. Equal natin yung dalawa na yan into 0. X minus 2 is equal to 0. X plus 8 is equal to 0. Next step is solve natin yung ating mga nakuhang factors, which are, yung unang-una is x minus 2 is equal to 0. So we will transpose negative 2, it will become positive. So x is equal to 2. So ito yung una natin na root. Next is the x plus 8 is equal to 0. Transpose positive 8, it will become negative. So the second root is x is equal to negative 8. Next step is we will check yung ating nakuha roots dun sa ating original equation. We will substitute yung ating nakuha, which is yung unang-una is 2. So using the original equation, which is x squared plus 6x is equal to 16. So yung x magiging 2. 2 squared plus 6 times 2. Pinalitan natin yung x ng 2 is equal to 16. 2 squared is 4. 6 times 2 is 12. Is equal to 16. So 4 plus 12 is 16. Which means, sabi niya rito, 16 is equal to 16. Katulad yung sinabi ko sa inyo kanina, basta dapat pareho yung ating makukuha dito sa ating final answer, which is 16 is equal to 16. So, ibig sabihin, tama yung ating answer na x is equal to 2. 2. Next is our x is equal to negative 8. Same process. Magiging negative 8, negative 8. So negative 8 squared is 64. 6 times negative 8 is negative 48. Next, 64 minus 48 is 16, which means 16 is also equal to 16. So, ibig sabihin, yung x is equal to negative 8 is also correct. Therefore, the equation x squared plus 6x is equal to 16 has two solutions or roots, which are x is equal to 2 or x is equal to negative 8. Last example, we have find the solutions of 4y squared plus 6 is equal to 25y by factoring. Next step is, syempre, standard form natin kasi yung ating given equation is not in standard form. So, transform it into standard form. 4y squared, transpose natin 25y, it will become negative. So, negative 25y. Same lang natin, bring down 6 plus 6 is equal to 0. Quadratic term, linear term, constant term. Next step is, we will factor. So, kung titignan natin dito is hindi niya sinasatisfy yung sinasabi ng perfect square trinomial. So, hindi siya perfect square trinomial. So, kapag ang ating given is, ang first term natin is, or ang ating quadratic term, ang numerical coefficient niya is not 1. Ang numerical coefficient natin dito is 4. So, hindi siya 1. And, ang ating constant term is 6. So, ang gagamitin natin is the trial and error method. Kasi, ang pa-factor natin yan is yung dalawa, which is yung 4 and then yung 6. Hahanapin natin yung factors nila para masatisfy yung ating middle term. So, ang trial and error is magta-try tayo ng mga factors ng dalawang to, and kapag nag-FOIL method tayo is makukuha natin yung ating original equation. So, kung bago lang kayo sa salitang FOIL is, ito yung ibig sabihin niya. FOIL method is first, yung dalawang una, outer yung dalawang nasa gilid, inner is yung dalawang gitna, and then yung last is yung dalawang huli natin. So, let's try yung ating given equation. So, factors of 4y squared are 2y and 2y. So, try natin kung tama yung makukuha natin ha. Next is positive 6. Bakit negative yung ginamit natin sa dalawa? Kasi, kapag minultiply natin yung dalawang to is positive. Pero kapag pinag-add natin is kailangan makuha natin is negative. Kaya ginamit natin is parehong negative. Inuulit ko, kapag positive ang dulo and then negative ang gitna, parehong negative. Kapag naman positive ang dulo and positive ang gitna, parehong positive. So using the FOIL method, sigurado naman kasi na yung first and then yung last natin is makukuha natin kasi nga sila yung pinactor natin. Ang nag-vary lang dito is yung outer and yung inner. So let's try our FOIL method. First muna tayo, 2y times 2y is 4y squared. Next, outer. 2y times negative 2 is negative 4y. Next is inner. Negative 3 times 2y is negative 6y. And then last is negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. Next step is we will combine like terms. So which is negative 4y and negative 6y. So kung i-equate natin yan, ang makukuha natin is negative 10y. So 4y squared minus 10y plus 6 did not satisfy yung ating unang equation, which means hindi ito yung factors na hinahanap natin. So, magta-try na naman tayo ng iba. This time, ang ginamit natin is si 4y and y. Next is si negative 1 and negative 6 para kay 6. Inuulit ko. Kay 4y squared, ang ginamit natin is 4y and y. Kay positive 6 is negative 1 and negative 6. So, FOIL method. 4y times y is 4y squared. Outer, 4y times negative 6 is negative 24y. Negative 1 times y is negative y, and negative 1 times negative 6 is positive 6. Next, combine like terms. 24, negative 24y, and negative y. Kapag kinombine natin si negative 24y and negative y, ang makukuha natin is negative 25y. Which means, 4y squared minus 25y plus 6 is equal to 0. Sinasatisfy niya yung ating original equation. Which means, ito yung factors na hinahanap natin. So, yung nakuha natin is, the quantity of 4y minus 1 times y minus 6 is equal to 0. Next step is the zero product property. Same process, we will equal into 0 yung mga nakuha nating factors. 4y minus 1 is equal to 0 and y minus 6 is equal to 0. Next step is we will solve yung ating nakuhang factor, which is yung una is 4y minus 1 is equal to 0. Transpose negative 1. magiging positive. So 4y is equal to 1. And then yung unknown natin, which is y, is may kasama pa siyang 4. So divide both sides by 4. So 4y over 4 is equal to 1 over 4. Makakansel na si 4, ang mangyayari is y is equal to 1/4. So okay na tayo dito. Yung ating answer is y is equal to 1/4. Next natin is yung ating pangalawang factor, which is y minus 6 is equal to 0. So ita-transpose natin si negative 6, it will become positive. So yung answer natin is y is equal to 6. Last step is we will check kung tama ba yung roots na nakuha natin using yung ating original na equation. First is yung ating y is equal to 1/4. So substitute lang natin, si y magiging 1/4, si y magiging 1/4. So tingnan natin ha. So first is yung exponent muna tayo. Si 4 bibring down natin. And then 1/4, the square of 1/4 is 1 over 16. Plus, bring down 6 is equal to 25 times 1/4 is 25 over 4. 25 times 1 over 4. So yun yung nakuha natin. Next, 4 times 1 over 16 plus 6 is equal to 25 over 4. So we will multiply 4 times 1 over 16. So 4 times 1 is 4 over 16 plus 6 is equal to 25 over 4. Next, find the lowest term of the fraction. Dito kasi kaya hindi na tayo nag-lowest term is wala na siyang lowest term. Pero dito sa part na to, which is 4 over 16 is pwede natin hanapin yung lowest term niya. We will divide both sides into 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, 4 divided by 16 is 4. So the lowest term is 1/4. So 1/4 or 1 over 4 plus 6 is equal to 25 over 4. Next, hindi tayo pwedeng mag-add agad ng fraction sa whole number. Hahanapin natin yung ating LCD. So LCD natin is 4 kasi yun lang naman yung meron tayong denominator. So 4, ang mangyari is same lang, 1/4. So 1 pa rin yun. Next is bakit naging 24 to? 4 times 6 is 24. So kaya ang nangyari is 1 plus 4 over 4 is equal to 25 over 4. Inulit ko ha. Kaya nakuha yung ating 1 plus 24 over 4 is, bring down lang natin yung 1 kasi 4 na yung denominator niya. Next is si 6. Full number yan. So ang mangyari is, times natin kay 4. 6 times 4 is 24. Next is 1 plus 24 is 25. Pwede tayo mag-add kasi pareho na yung ating denominator. Kaya ang nangyari is 25 over 4 is equal to 25 over 4. Which means, tama yung ating answer. Next is yung ating namang y is equal to 6. Same process, papalitan natin yung ating y, nagawin natin 6. So, ang nangyari is 6 squared is 36, 25 times 6 is 150, 4 times 36 is 144, plus 6 is equal to bring down 150. 144 plus 6 is equal to 150. So, 144 plus 6 is 150 is equal to 150, which means yung answer natin na 6 is also correct. Therefore, the equation 4y squared plus 6 is equal to 25y has two solutions or roots, and these are y is equal to 1/4 or y is equal to 6. That ends our video lesson. Kindly like, subscribe, and click the notification bell para lagi kayong updated sa mga bagong video lessons natin. Maraming salamat and God bless us all.